Okay, let me talk to you how I made my first $10,000. Okay, it was, it was, and when it happened, it was consecutive, like month to month to month to month after that. But before that, it didn't just be $10,000. It was a process. Okay, it was a segue. Okay, if you want to find me, you can click the link below, foresightslife.com. I'm Herbert Kareem, currently in a doctor's program. Sidestep real quick. And you can go to foresightslife.com and watch all my health videos for free. Just click the video, health videos. And if you want to join HK Network membership, click HK Network membership on foresightslife.com. Now back to what I was saying. When you are trying to make $10,000 a month, you're trying to make $100,000 a month plus month. It's more than just one or two things that you're supposed to do. Okay? But there's some core things that you have to make sure you have in place when you start. Okay? But we're going to mainly talk about how I made my first $10,000 and how you can apply it too. Okay? First of all, I'm just coming off the top of my head because it wasn't, I remember in 2016 when it happened for me. But it really wasn't 2016. That was the first 10 and it climbing after that, month after month, and then it got further and further and further. But the main start was here. That's why you see me lately put a lot of videos up talking about retirement, 59 and a half, 62, 65, 67, because it matters. I'm not going to stop doing videos on that because it matters. You spend a lot of time from that 18, some of y'all a little early, at 17, giving a lot of your time to a career or a college career. There's nothing wrong with that being a stepping stone. I teach that with young men today and young women. But mainly that time is precious. So your mindset has to change to the point that time, your time is very important. Your time. And where you allocate your time is important. So mindset has to change to not give so much of your time, or you got to dual your time with your college, with your schooling, with your education, with your working ethics. You have to line that up together with the 9 to 5. We're giving the same amount of time, if not at least 10% of everyday consistent time with your something that's important to you, your lane, which segues into this. Consistency is the next one. Change your mind first, knowing that your time is very important. Okay? Now, consistency. You have to be consistent with what you're trying to accomplish. The goals are important. So to me, I had to make sure I was working a 9 to 5 job. I was hopping from job to job. I was going to school better in my education and actual Cisco, okay? Cisco Technologies, working on the networks and cell phones and topologies and understanding the IP, internet protocol. Broadband, I was heavy in that hardware, technology. I was there. So I had to know where if I wanted to stay here. I knew doing this would not bring me $10,000 a month. But if I harnessed and did something that I really enjoy and I like, because I'm being consistent on this job and I'm getting better at this job, I'm becoming a specialist at this job. You see? So it's a cadence when you are consistent and when you pick something that you really, really love. Now I'm going to this one. Choose something you really love. You have to know what can you do for the rest of your life. Is it communication? Talking? Some people like doing that. I like to talk. I didn't like talking to people in public. I very rarely do a webinar. I might do one maybe once a year in faces around people, audience, really like once every 3 years. But it's not my thing talking in public. I don't really enjoy it, but I can communicate my thoughts and I can write my thoughts. That's the lane. I can create things here. That's the lane. I know what I wanted to do long term, which was a herbologist, and I wanted to also teach business. So I was constricted, but that's a lane. So you have to narrow it down to one or two things that you know you can do the rest of your life, and you got to be consistent at it, and you got to educate yourself on it. And you got to take you to this next step. You got to believe in yourself. You got to change your thought process. You got to believe in you. You got to believe in yourself. Okay? And that's a power in believing in the God in you. That's power in that. Knowing who you are. Okay? Not allowing others outside of you to know who you are, study you, and that go out their way to hire you or interview you so they can have you work for them. And now you're giving up your time and you're being consistent with them. Okay? So I did these things. Okay, I picked a lane. I chose a lane. Chose business in herbology. Okay, natural healing, changing people's lives, and I focus on that group of people. Okay, so here's the beautiful thing about it when you're understanding this right here. So it won't be too long. Okay, making this first $10,000, it became easier when I came out of from 2011. Education and as a natural healer and learning business, learning how to do the LLCs, corporations, S Corp, C Corps, sole proprietary, trusts, nonprofits, unincorporated. Stop when I knowing the bastard number, the EIN number, the TIN number, the social security number, understanding CPNs, understanding these things, and also understanding the health, the body, the organs, the glands, the cells, the red, the white. Understanding the body and understanding business, I had two different directions I could go. So in 2011, I started training and studying, okay? And from 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, that's 6 years. 5.5 to 6 years before things started, I started realizing I have to do something. I was making money in this lane, but it wasn't no $10,000 a month. It wasn't $5,000 or $6,000 a month, but it was bringing me about $4,000 to $5,000 to $1,000 to sometimes $3,000 consistently every month. But what I started recognizing, this is what really helped me understand big time on the road of making my first $10,000. I realized that I have to switch up and understand the new world now. Social media was everywhere, but I didn't understand it. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, okay? TikTok wasn't around. Snapchat wasn't around. MySpace was here. These different social medias were here, and I didn't understand them. So I started studying to understand these platforms so I can get a broader, bigger, long, and huge audience. So when I'm just maybe teaching in the community, okay, teaching just in around town or providing services and products around the area, it just wasn't in that city that branched out to other cities next to it and into that county that I stayed in. I branched out further. I was able to stamp myself long term all over several cities, several counties, several states, all across United States, even around the whole world. I knew I could reach that if I just start and put some things in order. So when I chose that, and I said to myself, I'm gonna be consistent with my niche. Once a week, I'm gonna drop a video about herbs. I'm gonna drop a video about business. Every single week, I'm gonna drop a video on business. I'm gonna drop a video on herbs. Those of you that have been following me know that I did that consistently. I said, I'm gonna do this for a year straight while working my 9-to-5 job. What happened with my consistent, I got better. It's like anything with a job. You do something long enough, consistently, over and over again, you're gonna get better at it. I started understanding Facebook. I really started understanding YouTube. I started understanding the details, what they wanted, what they didn't want, the things they wanted from me, what they wanted to give. Then I started watching the YouTube influencers that were telling you what you must have in place to even grow on YouTube, what you need to grow on Facebook. And I'm telling you, within a matter of months, my money doubled what I was making on the side. I went from $400 to $600 to $1,000 to $8,000 to $16,000 to $3,000. This is what I was making when I started realizing and started learning the craft, learning the section I'm in to get my niche, to get my area out there to a broader, more cities and counties and states, and not just stay in the city that I'm in. Okay? This is the road to making it. The social media is right there at your fingertips. It's right there for your taking with something that you're excellent and good at. And one thing that stood out to me, one of my teachers named Hudi Maadra, he told me, if you can get yourself 500 people that will consistently watch you, there's no way you should be not making yourself $5,000 to $10,000 a month. If you can get yourself 500 people that will consistently watch you, there's no way you won't make $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And I was like, what? Okay, it's time for me to learn this information. I bought all kinds of stuff, invested in the camera equipment, microphones. It's things that I really didn't honestly need, that I thought I needed. And I kept trying to get better, kept researching to get better, kept learning more and better, kept perfecting, trying to get past the basics in the area that I was in. And what it led me was these basic things that I needed. Once I realized this was the lane I wanted to go in, and I wanted to teach people. I wanted to find that audience and teach people. I'm going to teach, I'm going to teach, and I'm going to teach, and I'm going to teach. I'm going to be consistent and let them find me. And still to this day, these social medias will allow you to let that happen. Your consistency gives and brings on an audience. They give you an audience. It's almost like a handshake. If you show up consistently on the social media platform and be consistent in your lane, I will give you an audience. I'll keep putting audience and drip feeding you new audience to you every single week, every single day. You just got to be consistent. So here's what the things that I had to make sure I did before I decided to jump on this journey and be really, really consistent. I did this. Okay? Went over to, you can go anywhere and get this, but I went over to GoDaddy and I got me a domain name. And you could type any name you want. So if you typed in something like teach fam, just anything. And it'll come up letting you know what's available. It's available, teachfam.com. You could type in anything that you think that will be kind of cheap and not nobody trying to make you pay for it. And you could get any .ai, .co, .online, .us. You can get anyone that you choose you need. I first got me a domain, came up with my name. And after I came up with my name, I started teaching from there. I started getting that domain name because I knew I wanted to create myself a website. So I needed a domain name. So I went to GoDaddy.com and I tried to see if anybody had that name that I want.com. Once I purchased it for about 2 years for real cheap, probably less than $14, that is mine for 2 years, I went over to a place that will keep my website because I knew that this was going to be my store. So I went over to HostGator.com and I looked and seen that since I'm just starting out and I'm not knowing if I'm going to continue and I'll be able to do this, I went and the plan right here is $3.50 a month. I made that investment for myself. So I purchased this so I could start putting it out there to get to someone that will actually help build my website. So that was the next step that I did. I needed a place I could transfer my domain name over to the hosting place that now someone can build onto my website. And you need a hosting place and you need a domain name. Domain name you can get like GoDaddy or other places, or you need a hosting place that will hold and house your domain name. You don't necessarily have to get off the top. Matter of fact, you don't have to get off the top your stuff filed with the state, okay, filed with the county. It's not necessary for that off the top. I wanted to make sure that got started first. Then what was next? What was next? I did this. Since I knew I was going to be teaching regularly on a regular basis, I went over here and I looked at something called thinkofit.com. And I looked at their prices. It wasn't this expensive back then when I started. So I started off with basic to see if I can build my course and add my course on there and just see one community and just start building from there. So they'll let you even start for 14 days if you don't want to pay. I started there. And another one I researched was Teachable. After researching them both, I decided to go with Think of It versus Teachable. But I could have went with either one. And they both give you the same things that you need to do to teach your audience. You could have a membership site. You could have a paid site. You could have a teach for free site, but you're allowed to give people what they need in a structured way. So I made sure I did that. So the first thing I made sure I did was I wanted to make sure that I taught individuals. I made sure that I showed up. I showed up every week, dropping 2 videos. And I picked the social media platform that resonated with me, which was YouTube. And I showed up consistently, weekly, for over 1 whole year. And what started happening was I started growing. Around the 9th month, the 10th month, I started growing heavily. I even stepped out and did a couple of collaborations with individuals, but to see if I can gain some exposure. But that consistency and that of loading videos and learning the social media platform and sticking with my craft allowed me to get past the 500 people that would watch me on a day-to-day basis. I started noticing that my channel was growing. I started noticing that the money that was coming from YouTube, it was a little bit of a couple $100 here a month, but my services that I provided, that went from the community around to that 600 to a 2,000 to 3,000 a month, it skyrocketed within less than 2 months. After I started showing up every single week, and after about 13 videos that I did, that would be like the 13th week. So that was literally a little bit past 2 months. That's when my channel, that's when my services that I was making, not money from YouTube, that's when the services I was provided went from $3,000 to $4,000 to $10,000, $11,000, and $12,000 a month. That's when I made my first $10,000. Not the first month, not the second month, the third month. And that third month was around December of 2016. No, it was November of 2016, then December of 2016, and then January of 2017. I consistently started going up from 10, 11, 13,000, and it just kept climbing because I just kept being consistent in the field that I wanted to stay in for probably long term, for the rest of my life, or until I felt that I didn't want to do this no more. I knew that if I could show up for a 9-to-5 job, if I could show up to educate myself every day, being educated, every day on a job, and give 8 hours, I knew I could give at least 1 to 2 hours 1 to 2 hours weekly, 1 to 2 hours weekly to my business. Then I started giving 1 to 2 hours daily to my business, to my platform, to my services. And then I just started continuing and continuing and continuing. And because my dedication of all of 2016, no, the last part of 2016, but all of 2017, my dedication of I'm not going to stop. I want to see where this takes me. My consistency, the changing of my mind, my services that I want to provide. I want to see where this takes me. Would it take me further than my 9 to 5? Would it take me further than my education? Can I take my education that I already have in me, that I already know, and share it with others and keep learning as I go? That's how you make your first $10,000. It's not too difficult. You have it right there for the taking. All of you and each and every one, you have a talent. And some of you have more than 1 or 2 or 3 talents. And you're sitting on it. You're not doing anything with it. You've been given natural talents, and another company or institution or someone else in your life is using your time and your talents every single day. Hours of it. And if you would just take the time to change that, you can make your first $10,000. Then I'll show you how I made my first $10,000 in one day. Then I'll share with you how I made my first $100,000 in 1 month. Then I'll show you how I could, well, that kind of goes with it, how I made my first $1 million. But it starts with your mind, changing your mind. Herbert Scream. Peace.
Is the most beautiful species on the face of the planet Earth. There ain't nothing on earth better than a black woman.
Now from the beginning, yeah, God gave you to me, but I took you for granted, ignoring all the pain